Hello, everyone. I believe I'm live. I am Kat Sticker, the Tea Mage, and I am here today with our Minimize to Maximize 7-week reset pre-launch. All right. So the goal of today's show is just to let everyone understand what this reset is all about, the who, what, why, how, when, and where of it, so that you can decide if you want to participate. And let me just start out by saying this is a free reset, so it's not going to cost you anything to try it out. And if it's not for you, maybe don't continue with it because it is going to be challenging. But let me start by saying it's totally customizable. So you can, if it's not challenging enough for you, you can make it more challenging. If it's too challenging, make it less challenging. And I'll talk each week about like how you might want to customize for your needs. Now, who is this for? Let's start out with who. So if you want to make room in your life for a de-stress zone, or cut back on bombardment by social media. I don't know about you, but it's really tempting to check social media all day. Maybe you're getting a lot of emails and stuff like that as well, and you're just totally overwhelmed with messaging all the time and ads and things like that. Also, save money. Stop collecting meaningless things, and I have some meaningless things that I've collected to show you. That's an example. Stop wasting food, and in general, adopt some greener practices. And if you want to simplify your life and really appreciate what you have, then sounds like you're ready for this free program. Now, I haven't made it too challenging because each thing that we're going to simplify, we're only doing for 1 week, and you can do anything for a week. So it's just to try it out. And then what I recommend is if there's areas where you want to go deeper, then maybe do that simplification on that area for a month and see how that goes. So the reset is going to be a series of challenges based on 2 books. I've largely based it on this book, 7, An Experimental Mutiny Against Excess by Jen Hatmaker. And then the other one is Declutter Your Mind, How to Stop Worrying, Relieve Anxiety, and Eliminate Negative Thinking by S.J. Scott and Barry Davenport. So I have, this book is in 4 parts, and this book is in 7 parts. So I've put some of the parts of this isn't really written like a challenge, but I've like incorporated that into some of the challenge weeks here that it corresponds with to make sense. It'll make sense as we go along. And let me just put the book names up there so that you can write that down if you want to. And so let me just talk a few minutes about Jen Hatmaker and her book 7. So Jen Hatmaker is a mother, and she and her husband they have adopted some children from overseas, and she was just, I guess, noticing or appreciating how much that they have compared to how much that some people in third world countries have. And for instance, she's worried about her adopted child that she had not received yet going hungry at night while she's sitting in a restaurant eating, and just kind of those differences between haves and have-nots. And then just noticing like her children were throwing out plates of fish sticks because they didn't have any ketchup. And she sees 5 whole fish sticks in the trash, and she's worried about her child overseas going hungry every night. So it's that kind of thing. She's like, what? We have so much stuff. And just diving into the overwhelm of what you're experiencing every day, just in our Western culture. So the what of this is we are going to take 7 weeks to simplify one area of our life at a time temporarily. We're going to use the categories in the 7 book. But another way it's customizable is if one of these areas doesn't really apply to you, or you already feel it's simpler, it just, doesn't really apply to you, you can choose a different area to simplify that maybe does apply to you. And I want to point out that this is going to be a guilt-free, judgment-free, negativity-free zone. Because for one thing, we're going to be doing this, which is to eliminate negative thinking, right? And to stop worrying about things. So we're not going to worry about being guilty about what we have. That's not the purpose of this course, isn't to feel guilt and shame about having wealth, because there's nothing wrong with having wealth. It's wasting that we're trying to get away from. And it's just being caught up in a lifestyle that isn't in alignment with your values or who you are at soul level. And you just get so bombarded all the time that you don't have time or space for the things that really matter. And so what we're trying to do here is make some space, make a little space, whether it's time, money, or what have you, your relationships, that kind of thing. Make a little space for what is important to you. So through this book, we'll be examining some of your values and what's important to you that you want to make space for, and stop worrying about all the little things. All right. So this reset can be triggering for some people because you're going to get defensive maybe by, like, I am not calling you gluttonous because we're trying to reduce what we're eating. I'm not calling you wasteful because we're trying to reduce our waste. That's not what this is about. This is about your own self-examination. And if you're finding that you're resistant, like, oh, I can't, just choose 7 foods, or I can't just choose 7 pieces of clothes to wear, or whatever the issue is, why are you having that resistance? So it's a chance for you to go examine yourself a little bit deeper and find out what is really at the root of that defensiveness that you have against it. And this is totally just an exercise in self-reflection. All right. So why would you want to minimize? And basically, I talked a little bit about it, but you can really maximize your effectiveness by minimizing parts of your life that's in excess. And you can make room for spirit. You can note your resistance. You can raise awareness of, things, people that don't have as much of you as you maybe. You can examine your values. This is a chance to reprioritize what you're spending your time, money, effort, and everything on. And it kind of is a chance that it humbles yourself and increases that sense of gratitude that you have for what you have, and for what opportunities that you've been given and how you're using those. And it can make you even more effective in how you're spending your time and money. So I encourage you just to try it out, even if you just do one of the areas that you think maybe you could do a better job on being more thrifty on. And so in the book 7, Jen goes over, like, she has some statistics on, the percentage of wealth. And if you make this amount, you're in this percentage. But I feel like that was a little bit outdated. So I went ahead and looked up on this website, How Rich Am I? Giving What We Can. howrichami.givingwhatwecan.org. It's a really long name. But it's a little calculator where you can put in your income and the number of adults and children in your household and calculate what your what your percentage of wealth is. So I put in $50,000, 2 adults and 2 children. If that's your household situation, you are in the top 10. Well, you probably can't see that. Top 10.6% of wealth in the world. And if you had, let me just change that to 100,000. Calculate. If you have $100,000 worth of household income and 2 adults and 2 children, you're in the richest 3.1% of the world's population. So that's an amazing statistic. And I also saw that the top 80 people, the 80 wealthiest people in the world, hold as much wealth as the 50% bottom part of the world. So like 3 point something billion people, total wealth there, 80 top percent people. So I know I'm not in that 80 people, but I am in a very wealthy situation compared to the rest of the world. So why am I buying crap like this? Whoops. I just wanted to bring these show and tells. I bought these adorable little kitties. They are plastic. They're pretty hard. They're a decent size. I saw them on a Facebook ad last year, and this looks like my cat Stormy. This looks like Mufasa, and this looks like Salem. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I think they were about $16 plus probably I paid plus shipping. And I bought them. They took months and months to get them. I forgot that I had ordered them by the time I got them. And then I got them, and they've been like, I don't even know what to do with them. I put them in front, like they were sitting in front of the TV for months. And I don't know. They're just always in the way. They're adorable, but it's useless junk. When it came Christmas time and I was kind of short on money, I regretted having bought them and wished I had that $16+ back to spend on something else. And how many things in your house do you have like that? Do you know how many craft supplies I have that I'm probably never going to get around to using all of them? How many musical instruments that I have that I don't have time to practice? So many things. I have a lot of clothes in my closet that I don't like the way they look on me, or I've outgrown them or whatever. And I have this closet full of clothes and I never have anything to wear. That is just ridiculous, right? And it's those kind of things that we're talking about in this exercise of just paring down for a few days and seeing how we can make a difference in the long run if we're more mindful, more conscious of the purchases and the way that we're living our lifestyle, so that it makes more sense, right? So if you make 5, 6, 7 figures, that's great for you. Congratulations. And you should be very proud of that and grateful as hell to the universe. But I want you to remember that you control the money. Don't let the money control you. And when the money starts controlling you, that's when you need to step back and be like, hey, I need to take charge of what is going on with this spending and the budgeting and things like that. You might want to take a short break from all this materialism. And, I used to travel with work to Africa, South America a lot, and also some places in the Middle East, but usually those places that I went in the Middle East were pretty affluent. But it was the West African villages that I visited, some of the open air markets where people were sitting around with, babies that had mud pasted on them to keep the flies off of them. The little kids just ran around with no clothes because they can afford clothes. And the mother would be selling like 2 rotten potatoes because that's what she had to sell to try to get some money so that they would have something. And so those kind of conditions, and in some of the bigger cities, just seeing a lot of people living in cardboard boxes on the side of the road, and just throngs of people meandering about, just without shoes and things like that, because they couldn't afford them. They just wasn't a luxury that they had. And when I come back from those places, usually I'd spend 2 to 3 weeks there, and I would come back with like a lot of culture shock, and people, it would irritate me when people would complain about little things that were, bothering them that day. And I know that's kind of judgmental, but it was like this culture shock of shift from nothing to too much that made me want to do this challenge. So I actually did the challenge in this book years ago because of that, and had some really good results for myself, and was able to simplify things. But since then, I'm kind of back where I was before. So I want to do this for myself, but I wanted to share it with others and give you a chance as well. So let's take a look at the what, and break it down as to what's on each week. So the first week we're going to be looking at food, and so we'll choose 7 food items that you can eat that week. So each one of us will choose for ourselves. Now, I'm not going to choose for you. You choose for you, and I'll choose for me. So you might have dietary restrictions and things like that. Now, it doesn't have to be a whole food. You could choose chocolate cake as one of your foods. If that's what you want to eat all week. But things like sauces, so you get salt and peppers for free. That doesn't count, but anything other than salt and pepper, any kind of herbs and spices counts as an item. Ketchup, if you want ketchup, that's fine. It counts as an item. And try to limit yourself to 7 items of food. It's not going to hurt your health for 1 week to do this. And, make one of them a protein. Make sure you have enough to eat. And, but it's simplifying, right? It's cutting back. It's making you think about, you don't have a billion choices of what to eat. It might make it hard going to some restaurants, although Jen Hatmaker was able to find some things that were on her list in the restaurants that she went to. And so we'll go into more details on each week as we get there. Second week, clothes. We'll be choosing 7 items of clothes, and it doesn't count undergarments, so you don't have to count underwear and socks as an item, but you should count outerwear count. So a coat, hat, scarf, those all count as items. We'll also be going through the introduction of this book. The introduction is kind of long in this book, and it has some really good things in it. So we'll touch on some of those items as well. And week 3, we're going to start with that decluttering of all the little crap. And you'll pick 7 items each day to get rid of. So you can donate the items, you can sell them, however you want to get them out of your house. And so 7 items for 7 days, that's 49 items. And maybe, one, if you're going through your closet, 1 piece of clothes could count as an item. So that's not really that bad. Not really that hard to do. And in the book, so Jen Hatmaker was doing each one of these things for a month each. So hers is a 7-month challenge, but I don't want to take 7 months to do this challenge with you guys. We're just going to do it for 1 week each. That's going to be less challenging for you. But think about it. If you had to give away 7 items a day for a month, that's a lot of items. Do you have that much to give away? Maybe you're already pretty decluttered. For me, I could do this. I could do that. All right. So maybe if you're like me, you pick that week and you say, hey, I'm going to do this week for a month because I feel overwhelmed with how much I have in my environment. All right. Also, in this book, there's a chapter called Declutter Your Surroundings. So that kind of coincides, and we'll be going over what they're talking about, how that affects your mind. and your mental state. So week 4 is media. And oops, I had a typo there. Relation of hips. It's supposed to be relationships. We'll be talking about picking 7 media items to shut down for a week. And by media, that could be no TV, no radio in the car, maybe no Facebook, no Instagram, no TikTok, whatever the 7 is that you choose. Now, it could be email. I got to check my email because I got to work. And that's like, I can't just like cut off the internet or whatever. But you can pick 7 items that aren't 100% necessary to cut back on. And by cut back, don't do it during that week. And so like for me, probably need to schedule some posts ahead of time. So I'll have those posts scheduled ahead of time. Won't be me on there posting them. I'll just have them automatically posting if I need to do something. Week 5, waste and environment. Really, this is conservation. And this is in the 7 book. It's all about how, we're throwing away food, we're throwing away clothes that we've barely worn or maybe not even worn, or just because they went out of style. And we're always buying new stuff on Amazon, throwing away the old stuff instead of trying to repurpose things. Now, not everybody does that, but it's for convenience, really, and it's a habit. So just this one is about adopting 7 greener habits, and we'll go through those on that week of some suggestions, because Jen has her 7 that she's put out there, and those are good suggestions. But things that maybe like driving, if you have 2 cars, just driving 1 car, sharing a ride, or telecommuting that week or something. All right. Week 6 is spending. And in the other book, decluttering your life obligations. So that kind of goes together, right? I'm caught in this cycle of I have so many debts and obligations that I have to pay. I have to pay a minimum. And I've entered into contracts and I have to fulfill my end of those. And it keeps you like in bondage to your job, to like I'm forced to make a certain amount of money to pay those obligations, right? And I can't. And so then that limits me on what I can do, because I have to be able to fulfill those debts plus feed the family for our current day, right? The debts are from the past, and plus we have the current stuff. So you're always needing to make more and more money to keep up. And so for week 6 on spending, we're going to pick 7 vendors to pay. Now, this doesn't include your obligations that you already have. So you're still going to pay your rent and utilities. If you have credit cards that come due, don't skip those payments. But you pick 7 vendors for your current spending, like your grocery store, maybe the gas station if you're going to need fuel. And what it's going to eliminate is a lot of, I'm going to McDonald's today and Wendy's tomorrow, and I'm going to the AMC theater on Wednesday, because you're going to have to narrow it down to 7 for a week, which when we did that for a month, it was harder to pick 7 for a month. So that might be one thing also that you want to try to extend out, because I think it would be a little bit more impactful for a month. And then the last week, the 7th week, stress and declutter your thoughts. So this week is a really good wrap-up week with stress and declutter your thoughts. What we're going to do is pick 7 times of the day where we're going to pause for 7 minutes and take a break. You can go into your sacred space for 7 minutes. Now, Jen did prayers, and she's a Christian author, and this is like, you find this probably on the Christian book aisle. But you can do prayer, you could do meditation. You can do deep breathing exercises. We'll talk about all the different things you could do with that pause. Like you might just choose to go outside and connect with the sun or the wind, or, something in nature for 7 minutes, at least 7 minutes. You could do longer, but take those pauses throughout the day, at least 7 pauses during your day, and you can schedule those out to make sure that, it doesn't include sleep. It includes the rest of your day. And declutter your thoughts, and that's going to be very interesting as well. It's going to help you be more focused. So I can't wait to get into that with you. So when is this going to take place? We're going to start next Sunday with week 1, and I'll come on Sundays at noon, right here in the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group, and in the Teenage Tavern. I'm going to broadcast in those 2 places, and we'll go over that. So if you're watching this on the Teenage Business Facebook page, you'll need to find us in the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group, or you can go to www.thetmage.com and find the Tavern, which is our private online community there. So just in case anything goes wrong with my Facebook group, because Facebook and they shut things down all the time or censor you, whatever, we have this backup group in the Tavern. And actually, I'd like to shift the people from Soul Shifters Guild over to the Teenage Tavern, if possible, because to me, that's a more permanent space. You never know what's going to happen with social media these days. In fact, do you hear that? They're thinking about getting rid of TikTok, like banning it from the United States. So, yeah, you build up a presence in a social media, and then the next day you're just banned for you don't even know why. So I like to have that permanent space in my own website, is the purpose of that. Anyway, Sundays at noon for 7 weeks, and then you'll do that challenge that whole week. All right. Oh, I already talked about that. Where? How? So I'm going to provide you the details of the challenge. Now, you can buy these books if you want, or you can just get the instructions from me, and you don't have to read the books. It's if you want more detail about it. And Jen's book is really written. It's very funny. She has a lot of examples. She writes it like a diary. So like what goes on each day in hers. And it's really funny, the way she writes. This one's written more like a self-help book. Not as funny, but it's pretty short and it's useful. So I'm also going to give you a workbook. So I was just going to publish a schedule, but when I started writing the schedule, I was like, these people probably need a workbook to write down what they're getting out of this. So I created a workbook in Canva. It's in a PDF, and I'm going to post that in both the Teenage Tavern and the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group in a PDF form, so you can access that and print it out and make your notes. And then if you can't watch the lives, that's okay. The recording will be in those groups. So I encourage you to ask questions anytime. You don't have to wait till a live to ask questions. You can just post in a comment or message me, and then post about your experiences as you go through it. It'll be real interesting to see. Like, I want to know, what 7 foods did you choose? What 7 pieces of clothes did you choose? How did that work out for you? Did you have a day when you needed something else to wear? Like you had some kind of dinner come up and all you had chosen was workout clothes or something like that. I want to hear about the ups and downs of how that worked out for you. And did you go off plan to make accommodation for that? And then how did that make you feel? Did you were you just like, okay, well, whatever, oh well, or did it make you think, I really do have a more complicated life than I thought I did, Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way it is, right? And so it kind of helps you to analyze your own situation of what you're going through. So that's about it in a nutshell. It took longer than I thought to do this introduction, but I'm glad that I have this for your reference. And like I said, oh, wait, I have a comment. Oh, Barbara is watching. Okay, Barbara. Barbara says, this is basically the way I've had to adjust my lifestyle, living on a fixed income and living in a small house. Yeah, I totally understand. And I know, for instance, when my parents retired, they moved to like a retirement community. They had to sell their house and they got rid of everything in it. And then they're living in this little quadplex situation for a number of years. It was much more simplified. They have very fixed income that they can go off of and that kind of thing. So yeah, that does force you into it in maybe a dramatic way. So I'd be interested to know how that, how you feel about that versus, this situation you had before where maybe you had more expendable income and did you feel like it was hard to shift down, or was it like a blessing to simplify a little bit? Maybe it was hard at first and then later a blessing. Happy with your life right now. That's awesome. And that's the thing. You see people who have so much, and do they look happy? I mean, like these ultra rich people, are they any happier than us who don't have as much? Or are they also experiencing depression, anxiety? When you have a lot and you have a lot more going on, like say you're a movie star and or a rock star and you're having to go on these tours all the time, that's got to take a lot out of you. And you've got everybody wanting your money and you've got to figure out all these different things that you're investing in. And, it just makes your life a lot more complicated, a lot more difficult, and maybe not as happy as someone who's at home with their loved ones on a smaller budget. So I'm not saying that you have to be poor to be happy or that you have to be rich to be happy. I think it's how you manage the money either way, and your attitude towards it, right? So that's one reason that I think that this part is just as important as this part, because here we're talking about more of our mental health, and here we're talking more about the physical management of your stuff, right? So you need both, and I hope that you'll find some value in doing this challenge, and let me know if you're participating. I'm curious on who's participating, and drop us in some comments as we go every week. All right. I love you guys. I love you, Barbara. And I will talk to you next Sunday. Oh, wait. We do have stuff coming up before Sunday, but not related to this challenge. So remember, on Thursdays, I'm doing the circles. So this next Thursday will be the herbalism circle coming up, and we'll be talking about immunity herbs. So you might want to tune in that. That's 7 p.m. Central. So hard for me with the time zones. 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. I'll see you then, either Thursday or Sunday. Bye.